Good morning, guys. It's nice to be awake from that UFC 300 hangover finally. And we've got UFC Fight Night. We've got UFC Fight Night Nicolau versus Perez. Is it the best card in the world? No, it's not, but we've still got you covered. Full card breakdown, predictions, bets, all that. Stay right here.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the 10-7 MMA. I'm DS, and I'm here with my guy, Dino Bam Bam. Dino Bam Bam, what's up, brother?
What up, brother? How are you?
I'm all right, man. You said it perfectly in the little intro. It was definitely a UFC 300 hangover. What a card that was. But, we'll discuss the repercussions of that some other time. We are here today to discuss the upcoming Fight Night card, UFC Fight Night Nicolau versus Perez. Let's just get right into it. Well, unless you want to, give them the whole spiel first before we get into it.
Yeah, I'll give you guys the spiel. If you guys have been longtime viewers, you already know the spiel. But for those of you that haven't, if you guys are enjoying the content or have enjoyed previous content or are looking forward to the amazing, juicy content that we put out, do us a favor. Hit that little subscribe button. Ring the little bell. Dino. Guys, that's the sound of the bell. The bell's going to notify you when our videos drop. So do that. Then you can also follow us on Instagram at the107MMA. And look at this little bottom thing here, Dino. Follow us on IG and TikTok. You create a TikTok for us. So there it is. We're on TikTok. Do we know how to use it? No, not really. I don't.
Did that video get any views?
Like 6. It's doing way better on Instagram. So yeah, because nobody knows us on TikTok, but now we're on TikTok. So maybe follow us there. Let us know what the fuck to do because we don't know shit about it. We're too old for all that shit. But yeah, we're on IG and TikTok now.
Let's get it. Let's get it. We all in that bitch. Let's get right into it, man. UFC Fight Night card. We've got a few fights on the docket. First fight of the night is it Mahashate? How do you pronounce it? Is it Mahashate?
Mahashate, yo.
Okay, I always fuck it up. It's Mahashate taking on Gabriel Benitez. What do you think about this fight? We're gonna fly through this today, by the way.
Yeah, we got stuff to do. The Bears are about to draft. We got the #1 pick. We gotta be done. But anyways, Mahashate versus Gabriel Mowgli Benitez. Let's start with Mahashate. 24-year-old prospect. Dino, he's 9-3 in his career. Fun striker, loves to mix it up. Really good kicks, nice elbows. He can pick a lot of people apart at range if they're not his level of striker. It's impressive to me that a guy that only 24 years old is that damn sharp on the feet. You have to be a good striker to beat him at his own game. We saw that last time out with Slava Claus, who, Slava Borshev, a really good striker in his own right. He was able to kind of do his thing. Little sad thing here, a little side note. He was supposed to be fighting Anshul Jubilee on this card.
I was going to mention that to you.
That's our boy, bro, Anshul Jubilee. So Mahashate is fighting Gabriel Benitez. Opposite end of the age spectrum here, 35-year-old veteran. Last time out, he was subbed by an even older guy in Jim fucking Miller. He didn't look too good in that fight, man. Seemed hesitant. He is a good striker overall. Nice kicks, decent power. Solid jiu-jitsu fighter, good grappler, but he doesn't use it too often. This one to me, it's pretty simple. I got to go with the age, man. I got to take the younger, faster fighter. He looked better last time out, too. So I'm going Mahashate. I know sometimes the MMA math don't be mathing, but I feel like it'll math this time.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I agree with you. For what it's worth, I don't think it's like the highest level fight personally. I just trust Mahashate a lot more on the feet. I think it's going to take place on the feet. He did just get knocked out pretty badly, but I don't know. Gabriel Benitez has never really impressed me too much. His last decent win is against Charlie Ontiveros, which, is whatever. He did get a finish in that one. Before that, Justin James, which, he's not losing to, like, the top of the cream of the crop.
Can I say something,
Huh?
Justin James. Check this out. Shout out Justin James, the Guitar Hero. Sick-ass nickname. He actually runs an MMA channel on YouTube called 10-7 MMA.
Oh, shit.
And I had a little conversation with him about it, and I was like, man, we're also 10-7 MMA. I think we're cooler, but he has some, like, UFC cred. We have more subs and shit, so we're the real 10-7 MMA.
Okay. All right. There's also that one loser who copies our, like, casuals guy and shit. Okay. Anyway, Mahashate, more power. He's not the most creative guy in the feet, but I trust him to take this one. If I'm going to bet it, it's kind of a dog or pass situation, but I don't feel comfortable taking Benitez here. I'm going Mahashate all the way.
You want me to dog you? Let's get it. I'm with you. Mahashate. Yeah, let's do that.
Great. Next fight of the night, super high level fight. We've got Ivana Petrovic taking on Na Liang. I mean, what is there to say here? Na Liang, fire haircuts, fire fighting style. She's got about 38 seconds of cardio. So that's how her fights go. She might come out swinging. She probably will. This is an impossible fight for me to predict. Ivana Petrovic, not very good. It is what it is. She's a heavy favorite here, minus 500, which I think is kind of crazy, to be honest with you. I might sprinkle a little Na Liang, like first round finish, but realistically, man, I think Petrovic is probably good enough in the grappling. She's got some subs to her credit too. I'm gonna go with Petrovic here. I'm gonna go by rear naked choke in the second round. I don't feel particularly strongly about it. The odds are fucking kind of nuts here. But Na Liang ends up finding herself in bad positions a lot of the time, and not the smartest fighter, and like I said, awful cardio. So,
Yeah, look, you broke it down pretty damn perfectly, right? Anyone that knows Na Liang Na, whatever you want to call her, she comes out super damn hot. Like that's her thing. She looks unbelievable for the first 3 minutes of a fight, and then after that, she gets absolutely cooked. Has zero cardio. I think it was her versus Ariane Carnelossi that was on the Masvidal and Usman card where Usman got the knockout over Masvidal. I think it was that card. They were the first fight of the night, if I'm not mistaken. And that was the first fight back from the pandemic. So it was the first fight in front of a crowd. And they went absolutely apeshit. I might be completely wrong, but I think it was them too. And it was pretty damn crazy. But yeah, to me, Petrovic is just the more sound fighter, right? Liang Na definitely more dangerous early on, but she never seems to hold on to it. Petrovic, I think she's good enough to survive the early onslaught. And then after that, she's going to finish Liang Na, man. She's going to finish her because that's what happens. You see it kind of going the same way. I'm not saying sub. I'm saying TKO to ground and pound. But fucking tomato, man. It's the same fucking story.
Yes, sir. Moving on. Next fight of the night, we've got Ketlin Souza taking on Marnic, man, and talk about two high-level women's fights back-to-back. What do you think about this one?
Yo, girl, Marnic, man, baby, she's back.
How is she still here, bro? How is she still in the UFC?
Dude, there's two people on this card that I was sure were cut, and she was one of them, but she's back. Shortest fighter in the UFC, by the way.
Yeah.
She's a full 5 foot even. What is that? Thumbs down. Where did that come from?
Whoa.
That was crazy.
Whoa. By the way, I would give her one of these, just like a.
Yeah, of course you have to.
Just like a bop on the top of that. Is that allowed?
No, I mean it's 2024. Depending on how you identify, maybe.
No, like in the cage, is that allowed? Can you bop somebody on the top of the head?
I don't think so, man.
You can't.
I don't know. Maybe. I doubt it.
Like,
just donkey punches.
Like a double bop.
Let's do it. But yeah, she's the shortest fighter in the UFC at 5 foot tall. 0-3 in the UFC. She is a come forward fighter, decent striker, decent takedowns. She's easily taken down, which is not a good thing. She is willing to brawl, so it's fun to see this like little girl just out there just throwing bombs and willing to do shit.
I also prefer to come forward.
No, better than backwards. Ketlin Souza, another high pressure fighter. Throws heavy, big loopy ass kicks and punches, good power, decent grappler. She has some weak takedowns. She lost in her debut last time out. Again, you said it perfectly. Very, very low level UFC women's fight here. I trust Souza a little more than I trust Marnic, man. I think this fight can be super fun because of how sloppy I expect it to be. I don't love the odds here, man. Like, I guess Souza, but who knows, man? Who knows?
I think you're tripping, bro. I think Marnic, man, is the single worst fighter on the roster. Sorry to say, sorry to this girl. Ketlin Souza, I know she got dominated last time out, but it's versus Karine Silva. Karine Silva is really, 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 really good. Got knee barred, I want to say, like in the first round, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was counting your reallys, you said. I think it was 6.
What?
I was counting your reallys. She's really, 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 I think it was 6 of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, if I'm betting this, Ketlin Souza by decision seems like a surefire thing to me. I don't mind the odds at minus 325, even on the money line. She showed some okay striking. She's got decent top position. I just don't think Marnic, man, has anything for her. Good luck to her.
Yeah, gotta love when they got good top position. That's huge.
Yeah. Good top game. Moving on to the next fight, we've got Dontel Mays taking on Caio Machado at heavyweight.
You see how the quality just keeps like increasing, barely. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, this is another low-level fight. We've just got some two big-ass dudes in there now. Dontel Mays looked awful in his last fight. Yeah, I think they're both going to be gassed by the second round, to be honest with you. Machado literally is a finish early or lose by decision kind of guy. If you look through his record, that's exactly how all of his fights go. He either wins in the first round or he loses by decision as a pro.
But that was in kickboxing, right? He doesn't have an MMA loss, like, so we don't know, I guess. But
I mean, sure, but that's just, him as a fighter, that's who he is. Mays looked awful versus Nascimento last time out. Looked really, really bad. Probably looked as bad as he's looked. So this is a tough one to predict, man. For me, I will take the slight underdog here, Dontel Mays. I just trust him a little bit more. He did still knock out Andrei Arlovski not that long ago, and a lot of these lower-level heavyweights are not able to do that. Andre ends up putting it on them, or they end up, winning a close decision. So I am going to go with Dontel Mays here. I'm going to go by a terrible-looking decision.
and I'm sorry. No, you're absolutely right. He lost to Mick Parkin last time out. I'm absolutely tripping on someone else. But yes, look, Dontel Mays, he's got good boxing, but what sticks out the most to me is the Gucci and the Louis Vuitton tats. Those are pretty raw. And then he's training partners with John Jones, so that's pretty cool. Realistically, though, Dontel Mays, I think he's okay. Like, I think he's the best, or not the best, but I think he's one of the better of the lower class of UFC heavyweights. I know we shit on the division a lot, but he's not the absolute worst guy. The hottest 625, by the way, Machado, on the other hand, he, well-rounded. He's one of those smaller heavyweights. I think skill for skill, Machado is the better fighter. So look, man, I gotta trust the guy. He lost to Mick Parkin, but
Mick Parkin's looked awful too.
Yeah, like Mick Parkin hasn't looked great, but he's winning. So something's got to be said about that. Like we see that Mick Parkin's okay. He's also not the guy we thought he was. It's confusing. This one's tough. I wouldn't bet it at all, to be honest with you. But Machado, to me, is the more well-rounded fighter. I think if he can avoid the big shot early, he'll get the win. So I'm going to go Machado by decision. Another fight that I think could be fun because I think it'll be sloppy.
Yeah, we'll see again, man. I don't feel particularly strongly either way. So moving on. Next fight is Austen Hubbard. He's taking on Michal Figlak, the Polak, or the Polish guy. What do you think about this one?
All right, Austen Hubbard, man, fresh off the Ultimate Fighter finale loss. A good power striker, another guy who's decently well-rounded. 3-4 record in the UFC. I don't know that he deserved to be cut when they did cut him, There was plenty of guys that didn't have a win that were 0-2, 0-3 in the division. Yet they, kind of singled out Austen Hubbard and I guess cut him. But whatever. He's back. Good luck to him, man. He's taking on Michal Figlak, well-rounded striker. He's a strike-first kind of fighter. He does have some good grappling, though. It's decent enough. Really good power on the feet, constantly pressuring forward. His two biggest issues, a 2-year layoff, and he gets careless as hell sometimes, so he is very crackable. I'm going to trust Austen Hubbard in this one, man. I'll take the underdog. I think he's a bit more experienced, and I think if he can get the grappling going early, he can definitely win this fight. I think if he decides to stand and bang with Figlak, it's not a very good idea. Figlak is definitely the more dynamic fighter, but, the layoff scares the shit out of me, so I'll go Austen Hubbard.
Yeah, I got to disagree with you. I am going to go with Figlak. I understand why you're picking Hubbard. I just think Figlak is actually pretty good, man. I don't mind the guy as a fighter in general. I think he's a little bit better than what he showed versus Perez Ziem. Perez Ziem is not a bad striker. I mean, he's a really good fighter all around. Before that, he was undefeated in Cage Warriors, which is a decent promotion. I think he's just going to get the better of Austen Hubbard on the feet in this one, and I see a decision win for him.
Let's get it.
Moving on. Next fight is Rani Yahya versus Victor Henry. And this is kind of an interesting fight. I think it has the potential to be somewhat fun. Rani Yahya, 39 years old, man. He's looked probably even older than that. looked really slow in his last fight. He got knocked out by was it Montel Jackson? Was it?
Yeah. Shout out Montel Jackson.
Yeah, knocked out badly in the first round. Henry is just better everywhere, man. Let's be honest. The odds are kind of speaking for what the situation is here. Henry's faster. He's probably stronger. Yeah, I think this is a good parlay piece. I think, I mean, picking Victor Henry overall is solid. I just don't see what Yahya has left in the tank, number one, and where he's potentially even better than Victor Henry.
Yeah, so you're going Henry how?
I'm going to go Henry. I'm going to go by decision.
Okay.
But, yeah, I'll go by decision.
I feel you. I want to say this, right here. This card, right here, UFC 270, right behind me. See the poster?
Yep.
All right, this card. That's where Victor Henry made his debut, and I was like, holy shit. Like, this guy is an older dude, never was in the UFC, debuted, and made just fucking put on a great display for himself. He ended up beating Raoni Barcelos. It was really damn impressive. He was a huge underdog in that fight. Love Victor Henry since then. Rani Yahya, man, look, yes, we know what he is. He's dangerous as hell when we get to the ground, right? Stupidly high-level jiu-jitsu, great grappling. He's going to constantly shoot takedowns. He's not the best takedown guy as you expect from these kind of jiu-jitsu guys. But if you get there, you're pretty fucked. Look, Henry is not much. He's younger than him, but you're right. He's better everywhere. He's faster, he's stronger, he's the more exciting striker, throws the more dangerous shit. I'm interested to see how this goes, but I think Henry wins this one, no doubt. By the way, last time he got kicked in the nuts, if you remember that, and that's how
that was at that was Abu Dhabi card.
Yeah, it was against Basharat where he got kicked in the nuts.
That weird ass ref, I fucking hated that.
That was the same guy that was the whole Johnny Walker and Ankalaev situation, right? That was that night.
Yeah, it was.
What a time.
Yeah, that was such a weird card. Cool. Are you done with that?
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever.
All right, moving on to the next fight. It's Tim Means taking on Uros Medic at 170. What do you think about this one?
The Dirty Bird, Tim Means, man, a 40-year-old. He's a man. He's 40. 40-year-old veteran, right? Decently tough, high-volume striker. Kind of has like that little karate style to him. Of course, he's well-rounded. You're not going to be 40 and in the UFC if you're not well-rounded and, able to survive it in shitty situations. Last time out, he did get a win. He knocked out Andre Fialho. But at this point in time, who in the world is not knocking out Andre Fialho? He was getting knocked out by everybody. So interested to see what Tim Means looks like at 40. Uros Medic, last time out, he lost to Miktabek Oralbai via submission. And there's no shame in that, man. Oralbai looks like the real fucking deal. Medic is a really good striker, really fast, really powerful, an absolute finisher. He's super willing to brawl. I love that about him. The takedown defense isn't as bad as the stats would indicate, right? Because I think he was taken down like 6 or 8 times by Oralbai, who is a relentless grappler.
Yeah, I think that's just a matter of Oralbai is really, really good.
That's what I'm saying. And we've seen before that Medic has pretty good takedown defense. He's not just like a striker that's, like a fish out of water when it comes to the ground game. To me, the pick here is Uros Medic. He's way younger. He's way more dangerous on the feet. But again, you cannot count out a 40-year-old wily-ass veteran in Tim Means. But I am going to go Medic by TKO.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on it. I think you broke it down exactly. There is a chance Medic, he's been weirdly inconsistent. Sometimes he looks really, really good, and then sometimes he looks like, I think last time it was just a bad style matchup. Also, I want to say that he took that on short notice, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah. I'm pretty sure, and I think he was training for a striker. It makes a big difference, Yeah, Tim Means is tough, man. I just think at 40 years old, Uros Medic should have this in the bag, and I agree with you by TKO.
Yeah, he was supposed to fight Johnny Parsons. So Johnny Parsons to Miktabek Oralbai, that's a fucking brutal change.
Oh, big time. And props to him for still taking it, Anyway, moving on. Next fight on the cards is Jonathan Pearce at 145 taking on David Onama. That is the next fight, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
listen, man. For me, JSP, there was a lot of hype behind him for a while, and that's kind of seemed to have fizzled out. But, that Joe Anderson Brito loss was not – it's not a bad loss, right? He got choked out. That's fine. Before that, he was on a bit of a roll. beating Christian Rodriguez, Makwan Amirkhani, Darren Elkins. This one is David Onama's tough, man, but I don't know. Sometimes he doesn't really pass the eye test, but he still continues to like win, if that makes any sense. He's pretty good, you know. He does have the loss to Mason Jones, to Nate Landwehr. I don't know, man. So, something for me is just telling me to take JSP here. I just think he rights the ship. I think Onama, you're going to see him gas out as the fight gets a little bit later on, and I think the cardio will play a big factor here. JSP is pretty well-rounded. David Onama is pretty well-rounded. And, of course, the odds are pretty close. David Onama certainly has a chance here, but I don't know. I just haven't been that impressed with him, and I think it's time for him to kind of drop one again.
All right. Hey, I love me some David Onama. He's an absolute my boy for sure. And then anytime David Onama is mentioned, the Nate Landwehr fight, as you know, one of my favorite fights of the last like 3-4 years, absolute fucking insanity. If you haven't seen it, I'll say it every single time these guys come up. Do yourself a favor and go check that fight out. Yeah, JSP, man, we know he's a high-level wrestler, man, and some people are down on him right now. And I think it's because of the way he looked in that Joe Anderson Brito fight, right? He was winning that fight. He was handedly winning that fight. And then he put himself in a terrible he made a terrible decision and put himself in a terrible fucking place and got choked out of a fight that he should have won 10 out of 10 times the way it was going. I'm not saying he beats Joe Anderson Brito 10 out of 10 times. I'm just saying to have someone come back on you in that way and for you to make a mistake and just let his ass choke you, fucking brutal. It seems like there are some, mental mistakes going on in fights for him. So that's kind of what's worrying people. But regardless, he is a really, really high-level wrestler. He can stick to you like glue when he wants to. David Onama, more of a striker. He does have a little bit of a ground game, but, he's definitely a kickboxer. He struggles a lot when he's being pressured, David Onama. And I think that's when JSP is at his best, is when he is pressuring. Two guys that are tough as hell. I just feel like JSP, unfortunately for me, and David Onama being my boy, I just feel like JSP is going to continuously move forward, get takedowns early and often. And I think he's just going to make it a super boring-ass fight and wrestle fudge his way to like a Dagestani-style 30-27.
Respect.
Yep.
Moving on. Next fight, we've got some more big fellas. We've got Jhonata Diniz making his UFC debut, the Brazilian. He's taking on Diniz. He's taking on Austen Lane at 12-4. Diniz is 6-0. Austen Lane is 12-4. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, so this is who I was confusing the other Brazilian gentleman lower on the card with. For some reason, just brain fart. But yes, Diniz is the fighter that's undefeated, who's never been out of the first round. Look, 6-0, 6 fights by finish, debuting off of Dancing with the Stars, a.k.a. Dana White's Contender Series. He's a striker, man. Great power, great combos. Former pro kickboxer, as we mentioned. He's legit as hell on the feet, dude. We have no idea what his ground game looks like. And, of course, we have to wonder with these heavyweights that come in that are knocking people the fuck out early as hell, what's their cardio going to look like, right? So that's, to me, the biggest question mark. He's taking on Austen Lane, who is the second person who I was referring to or, alluding to earlier in this video that I thought was cut already, but I guess he's not. Former NFL player, big athletic dude, man, good speed, good power, of course, decent striker, but he's mostly a grappler, a unique athlete. But, to me, it's very difficult, man. We don't see a lot of these, like, former NFL players anymore, at least in MMA, coming in and just, like, making a huge splash, right? You think of guys like Brock Lesnar, but Brock Lesnar had, like, a very high wrestling pedigree before coming into MMA, right? On top of the football stuff. To me, Diniz is the better, more skilled fighter here, but there are so many goddamn question marks. It's difficult to trust these heavyweights that are making their UFC debut. Like, do you remember, like, last year, there's the really short, thick-ass black dude who was knocking everybody out in, like, 40 seconds?
Yeah.
And he made his debut, and we were like, oh, shit, this guy is, like, legit. And then he got knocked out, like, 3 minutes into the fight, he gassed. And then we just saw the same shit with Walter Walker. Man, it's hard to trust these guys, man. But regardless, I have to stick with what I see, right? And to me, he's just the more sound fighter, the better technical fighter. And coming from kickboxing, I'm trusting Diaz round 1 KO. Take that with the biggest grain of salt possible.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Austen Lane, man. I think he's actually decently technical for not being super experienced on his own. Oh, he's got a decent amount of fights under his belt.
Yeah.
I'll take the underdog here, man. I think it's really close, and I think the odds are swaying me a little bit. I think Diniz is obviously he's very powerful, but he doesn't do much of a job setting up his shots, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I just think Lane is better on the feet overall, man. So I'm gonna take Lane by second round TKO.
Yeah, dude, I don't hate it, man. With all the question mark, I'm telling you, with the cardio and we don't know what his ground game looks like, I don't hate the pick, man. I get it. Plus 190 for those kind of factors. I'm with it. I might sprinkle on that too, to be honest with you.
I'm saying. And then now we can move on to a really, really, really high level women's fight.
Like, how do we go from this shit card to here? Like, I think this is a phenomenal fight. This is my favorite fight on the card.
This is my favorite fight on the card too.
Yeah. Let's get it.
This is my favorite fight on the card too. Karine Silva, I touched on her earlier. She's unbelievable. I don't even know how she lost 4 fights, to be quite honest with you. She looks like the goddamn real deal. She looks unbelievable. She's finishing everybody. She's got decent hands, but my God, her submissions are lethal. She's got a guillotine to her credit recently, a knee bar, a darce, another guillotine, an arm bar, a heel hook. She got a knockout. She's an absolute finisher. She throws hard. She doesn't have like the most power, but shit, man, she is really, really good. She's won all 3 of her UFC fights by first round finish. And then I love me some Ariane Lipski, man. A lot of people counted her out, probably because she's pretty, but she's really good. Queen of Violence, badass nickname too. Lipski, I expect her to be a little bit better on the feet, man. I really do. Excuse me. I just don't think that she has enough power to put Karine Silva away. And she's going to be a lot better. I don't think she's going to get finished in the first round, to be honest with you. I think this will be the first fight where Karine Silva gets out of the first round in the UFC. I think she's going to land some shots, man. We'll see. This is a good test, and this is an appropriate step up, I think, for Karine Silva here. Man, she was actually the favorite when this opened up, which is kind of shocking to me. Ultimately, I do trust Karine Silva, even though Lipski's a my girl, and I don't like picking against my girls and my guys. But yeah, I think ultimately Silva she's just like more nasty, if that makes sense. I know Ariane's the queen of violence. I don't think that's the case here, man. I think Karine Silva is eventually going to get her down. And even though Lipski is pretty good on the ground, I think that Silva will find, let's say a late second round submission, rear naked choke.
All right, cool. You said most of what I wanted to say. I'm also going Karine Silva. I'm going third round sub as opposed to second. I just think Lipski's tough enough to hang in there. 2 things I guess I'll just point out just to throw in some extra shit. Karine Silva, she's a little older than I thought she was at 30. I thought she was like 28, and I wish she was like 26, 27. Because if she was, to me, she would be the most exciting prospect in all of women's MMA, to be honest with you. If she was a little bit younger. 30 still young, though. 30 still young for the division. And then on the other side, Ariane Lipski, man, she was super impressive to me, Dino, in that Casey O'Neill fight. I really, really thought Casey O'Neill was something to be effed with in this division. It turns out that that's not the case because she has not looked so good in the last few. But, man, Lipski made her look bad in that one. So I'm happy for Lipski and the little resurgence she's made here. But, yeah, I got to go Karine Silva as well. She is legit. She is the real deal. Round 3 sub. I'll go RNC round 3.
Let's get it, man. Let's get it. Moving on to the co-main event of the evening, we've got Ryan Spann taking on Bogdan Guskov. What do you think about this one?
All right. Ryan Superman Spann versus Anthony Smith 3, Dino. Are you ready?
Yes.
The trilogy, bro. Oh, shit. Bogdan Guskov. All right. No, for real, though. Look, Ryan Spann, man, a little bit of a losing streak here. He just lost to Anthony Smith last time out. Like, he's a big-ass 205er, Dino. He's got long reach. He's got big power. We know what the deal is with Superman Spann. He's only 32 on the, like the inverse side of what I was just talking about. I felt like he was a little older than he actually is. Like, he gives me like that 34, 35 vibe. But 32, you still got some life, man, at 205. You still got a couple years left.
Me, who's 33, listening to you. Break this shit down.
Right, I'm saying. Good wrestling, he's not just the striker. I want to like hammer that point home. He's pretty damn good everywhere. He has a bunch of submissions on his record. He, like I said, he just lost to Anthony Smith, and now he's facing fucking Anthony Smith's twin, Bogdan Guskov. Good power. He throws super fast shots, man. They're loopy as shit sometimes. They're straight as shit sometimes. He mixes it up pretty damn well. Good footwork. The thing is, he is also really goddamn hittable. He keeps his hands down. He's willing to get cracked. He's willing to trade if he has to. Of course, he has good grappling. He comes from that region of the world, so you know he's got good ground control. He's a fun prospect, if you want to call him that. Look, Dino, I think this is a huge step up for Bogdan Guskov. I don't necessarily understand the matchmaking. I don't know what, the UFC earns from pushing this guy who isn't too young, who isn't, too big of a name. I don't get why they give him Ryan Superman Spann, but I'll trust Ryan Spann in this one, man. I know he's on a little bit of a losing streak. I think if he can avoid Bogdan Guskov's massive punch like early on, if he can avoid the big shots, I could see him winning this. I think he's just the sharper fighter. I think he's more skilled, and I know he's fought the better competition. So I'll go Superman Spann in a fun decision.
Yeah, I could definitely see this being a fun fight, man. I really could. I like. Here's the thing. I have Ryan Spann. If he wants to be smart and have an early night, or just have a dominant win or a more dominant win, the smart thing to do here would be to wrestle Guskov. If he does that, I think that's there all day for him. I just can't trust him to do that, though. I feel like he's going to stand and bang, and I do think it's going to be a fun fight. I think that does work into the advantage of Guskov, because Guskov does have good power, and he's got some nice hands. But, I mean, there's not much else to his game. Ryan Spann, to me, definitely more well-rounded. If I'm betting anything here, I'm betting a finish. But give me Ryan Spann by knockout. I just think, like you said, it is a step up. And, I know he knocked out Zach Pauga, but, who the fuck is Zach Pauga at this point?
Right.
So, yeah, give me Ryan Spann by second round TKO. Not the most confident in it, because Ryan Spann, as we know, can be very inconsistent, let's say.
Look, it wasn't too long ago for Ryan Spann, man, that he was on a 2-fight win streak. Yes, he ended up losing after those two. He beat Ivan Cutelaba and Dominic Reyes, then ended up losing to Nikita Krylov last year. But if you remember, that fight was changed up a couple times, and he had to do multiple weight cuts, and there was food poisoning or some shit going on. So that was a sloppy one. Whatever. Nikita Krylov, a good fighter, and then for what it's worth, a split decision loss to Anthony Smith that a lot of people think he won. So not, he hasn't looked as bad as a 2-fight losing streak would indicate. Is all I'm saying.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Anyway, main event of the evening, we've got Matheus Nicolau. He's taking on Alex Perez. Yeah, I mean, we saw Perez last time out in a very, very boring fight versus Muhammad Mokaev. For what it's worth, before that, all his losses are literally to champions: Pantoja, Figueiredo, Benavidez, whatever. Yeah, but he's been out for a long time, man. He's been out for a long time. He's still only, 31, 32. So, I mean, he's not super old, but he does have some decent miles on the body. For me, the biggest thing here is I expect him to be the aggressor, and I think that's the exact kind of fighter that Matheus Nicolau loves to fight. I think Nicolau's better on the feet at this point, and I mean, the cardio for sure is better, in my opinion. So you add in the big advantage on the feet. You add in the cardio. I expect this to go 5 rounds, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's going to be the funnest fight, but I see him kind of slow. I see Alex Perez kind of slowing down early third round, maybe end of the second, already starting to gas a little bit. And I just don't see much of a way for him to win this one. I mean, I know it's possible. He's been at the top of the division for a long time. I just don't see it, man. I'm going to take Nicolau by decision.
All right, I don't hate that. Look, Matheus Nicolau, very good fighter, man. Coming off of a loss to Brandon Royval. No shame in losing to Brandon Royval, a really high-level guy. Matheus Nicolau is a super clean striker to me, man. I love his technique. It's crispy as hell, and he fights really damn defensively. We've seen him get clipped, and we've seen him, be in some firefights and shit. But he is such a defensive fighter, man. And I think that's what you were alluding to, right? Perez pressuring him and Matheus Nicolau absolutely loving that and eating it up, right? We talked a bunch of times, me and you, and I think we've even mentioned it on the show. The fight against Matt Schnell, the Matheus Nicolau versus Matt Schnell. Like, dude, I had bet on Matt Schnell, so I was pissed off when he lost. But it was just like, man, like he was pissing me off so much, Nicolau. I felt like he was so goddamn defensive and just backing up the entire time. But shit, that's what works for him, man. He is a high-level fighter on the ground. He's sharp as hell. Absolutely great submission skills, as we know. Just an overall top-level flyweight on the planet, right? He's one of those guys. But again, I cannot stress enough how careful he is when he is striking. 6-fight win streak before the Royval loss, if that means anything. Perez, on the other hand, like you said, he was once one of the top guys in the world. I don't know that he any longer is one of those guys. He looked pretty good against Mikhaev last time out. If some things were changed, he may have been able to beat Mikhaev. Mikhaev was making excuses after a win, which a lot of times, you don't like to see from like a young prospect. But if those things were true and Mikhaev did have staph infection and he was injured going into that fight, it tells you what you got to know about Alex Perez, that he wasn't able to beat a Muhammad Mikhaev, a young prospect that wasn't at 100%, right? So he's not the same guy he was. I think it's pretty clear, but at his best, he is a really damn good fighter. I love the leg kicks. He's powerful. He's just not the dude that we saw getting choked out by Figgy, right? It's not the same Alex Perez. To me, this is Nicolau all day. I feel like the striking is going to be sharp. I feel like he could stay at range for a while. And then kind of like you were saying, around that round 3 mark, I really do think that Perez will start to get tired, start to make some mistakes. But unlike you, I don't see it going the distance. I think once he makes that mistake, Nicolau takes the back and eventually gets that sub late round 3 via RNC. Look, so I'm going Nicolau round 3 sub. I'm rooting for Alex Perez, man. I know the division probably needs Matheus Nicolau to win at this point, just so we can, move forward and get some more interesting matchups. But I can't not root for Alex Perez. I really feel for the guy after this 5-year losing streak.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That's it. That's it. That's all we got for you today. Bit of a truncated episode. We'll be back at it, now that we're off the UFC 300 hangover. Bam Bam.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, next week, a pay-per-view. So we're ready to drop a ton of content for you guys. And if you want to see that content, Dino, you already know what they should do, right? Should I tell them what to do?
Let them know.
You guys should like and subscribe. It's right there. Just click it. It's literally right here. I'm looking at it. It's there. Press the subscribe button. Click the little thumbs up. Ring the bell. I'm not going to make Dino do the bell again. But yeah, just do all that. That's going to notify you when our videos drop. Also, like it says at the bottom of the screen now, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at V107MMA. We're not the best TikTokers, but we'll start talking soon, brother. We will start talking soon. Anyway, DS, anything else to say?
Nope.
All right, guys. He is DS. I'm Dino Bam Bam. This is the MMA. That's not the MMA Casuals Guide. Look at that. I'm just This is D107 MMA, full card breakdown and all that. Dino, you ready for this Bears draft?
Yeah, I hope. I feel like we're going to trade back, but I hope we take a receiver. I hope we take Odunze.
Hey, let's go. Roma Dunze and hey, QB1, baby. QB1. Let's see. So salute to Caleb Williams. Hopefully by the next episode we have a quarterback.
Maybe by next episode we'll have him on the show.
Hey, let's get it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.